We are from Pathfinder, enabling electric logistics. And in this webinar, we will cover first an introduction to Pathfinder, and then a demo, and then we will together at the end do the Q&A. So the goal for today is that you will leave this webinar with a clear view on how you can plan electric and profitable electric truck routes. And after the webinar, we will give everyone a free trial and that will last for 14 days, so you can play around in the tool and try it for yourself. But first, some guidelines. So this webinar is set up in a way that you don't have a camera, you don't have a microphone. So the only way to communicate with us is through the chat and the questions section. So if you have any questions, just put them there and we will have a look at them at the end in the Q&A. Let's get started. So at Pathfinder, we want to be very clear that electrification can be cost competitive today. You just need to find the right flows, and you just need the tool to find the right flows. Because electrification is not a one-to-one switch. It's really about the whole ecosystem with charging, matching the driver rest times with the charging stops, knowing where public charging is available, optimizing for the lowest TCO, comparing different alternatives against each other, and also about being able to communicate this, both analyzing large sets of shipment data for different tenders, and then be able to find these flows that are actually cost competitive electric today. And this is what we will show how to do. Because there are many new challenges when we switch from ICE to electric. It's about the vehicle and battery capacity. It's about finding the charging locations, knowing what charging power they have and if they're suitable for a truck with trailer. It's about matching the time to charge with the driver rest times to not add on time to the delivery. And also, of course, about assessing the TCO and matching all of this with your current delivery schedules. And all of this is, of course, one thing to do in pilot, but we want to do this at scale and for long haul. And we just see that the tools out there today are not really enough to make this happen. So many are still struggling in Excel, and maybe Excel plus Google Maps and so on. And we really want to do this in a very easy way in one-stop shop, just an URL in your browser for Pathfinder, and then you can do the full electric planning there. And this is really grounded then in the charging availability, the actual truck routes, the actual energy consumption, switching between different models and scenarios. So once you have planned it, it's really like a good feasibility check already, and plans you can then take to the next step, which is implementation. And an example of someone who's already using Pathfinder, it's Richtering Logistikgruppe, a German carrier with around 400 tractor units. And they already invested in electric trucks. So they're using Pathfinder to optimize how these electric trucks are running, and also to use as a tool with a customer to show what is feasible, because Pathfinder gives really strong both visual support and also, of course, business case support with everything around the costs for the route, road tolls, all of those things. And in Pathfinder, and what we'll cover today, it's really the two ways to come to the electrification plan. So the first one, and what we call basic, is when you enter an origin and the destination, and then create the electric route, full with the charging sessions, energy modeling, cost breakdowns. And then you can compare this scenario across electric, biofuel, diesel, add your own chargers, adjust the route to your reality. And then the other angle into the electric plan is the network analysis. So that's really when you want to analyze a large shipment data set, so maybe thousands of shipments, either maybe that's a tender, or maybe it's your current flows, or maybe it's both. And then in that, identify high volume corridors, round trip opportunities, and other strategic locations for electrification. And then from that, you can start prioritizing where to start, and then convert the best findings into optimized electric routes. So that's really the two ways into the electrification plan. And with that, I think it's time for the demo. So here we have Pathfinder. I hope everyone can still see the screen. Yes. So the first thing to note is all these green dots on the map. So all of these are the public charging network with truck and trailer verified chargers in Europe. So this is very important, of course, not have to go between many different apps to get the full coverage, but to have everything in one place and that is continuously updated. There's also HVO stations and gas stations available, but let's focus on the charging for today. You can investigate each charger. So here you can look at how it actually looks in Google Maps, and you can also press here and sort of proceed into the Google Maps view. You can also see that it's green certified in this case, and some pricing information, and also the power information. One can also check out the production mix in this area, and also the CO2 emissions connected to using this charger. So for example, here we can see per kilometer what the reduction would be with diesel versus BEV. So yeah, really big reduction in this case. So this is really the backbone to have all of these chargers. However, it's also possible to add either other chargers that you know that are maybe at a friend's depot, for example, or at your own depot, or that you know are planned, and you want to take those into consideration. Then you can just press the map and add a location, and then add a charging station. So in this way, you can add them one by one, but you can also use our AI assistant, able to help you with anything. And in this particular case, you could ask it to add a bunch of chargers, for example. So let's say add 400 kilowatt chargers at the following addresses, and it will populate them on the map. But let's start with this first case that I mentioned, when you have a start and end location and you want to check the feasibility of that specific route. So then we go here and we say add route, and then say I want to go from here to maybe Hamburg, and then we see we can add more stops if we want to. We can choose a specific truck, what we want to have. I will keep my Scania. And there's also other route options, for example, speed or start stock window, and so on. But let's keep this for now. All right, so then we see this electric route on the map like this. And we can still, if we want to update what track is used, we can do that. If we want to change the payload, we can do that. We can also change the start time. Yeah, a bunch of different things to customize this route. And here we can see the battery level over the course, and you can also follow it then on the map and see where it stops to charge and when it arrives at the destination. Let's say now we want to add another stop. Let's say we want to stop in Copenhagen. Then we can very easily just add that in to the route. And we can also then adjust. So here actually I have a stop. I'm loading off 2 tons. Then I just update it like that. And then I can check again how it looks. It's also possible to create this same route, but an ICE version. So now I just did exactly the same route, but with diesel. Because let's say I want to compare them to know exactly what is the result of this. So here we have the diesel and here we have the electric truck. For example, I can see that the total time has increased a little bit when we go to the electric reality. I can see that the CO2 emissions have decreased with 88%, for example. So in this way, you can compare them side by side. And it's also, of course, possible to change the diesel one into, let's say, HVO, and then compare in that sense. And one important note on the electric route, there's many different details to dive into. For example, energy consumption, there is the total duration, and here we see that it's plus 14 minutes due to charging. So that means that it couldn't fit exactly the driver rest time, so it needs 14 more minutes to charge, for example. There's also a deep dive on the route cost, for example, including the toll. So there you can also compare between the diesel and the electric one to see the difference there. And also, of course, CO2 emissions on that route. So this is really how you start building your electric routes in Pathfinder, compare them with diesel or other fuels. You can adjust different parameters. Let's say you want to check the coldest winter day or in summer. So many different customizations that you can do. So this was the first case I wanted to show. And please remember to use the chat if you have any questions that we can address at the end. So the second thing I want to show is the pro use of the platform. So that's when you have a large shipment data set with maybe hundreds or thousands of shipments. And then basically you just upload here to the chat an Excel file with those shipments. And you just need the start and end, the location and the weight or volume, and it will populate it on the map. So here we have some examples of data sets. So you can load many into the map and you see them here in different colors. But let's focus on one at a time. So here we have one. We see that it's outbound from Munich, for example. Then you can directly start looking at some statistics of this data set. So here we see all the lanes and we can see them highlighting in the map as I scroll. And here we have some overview. For example, it's 10,000 shipments. Here are the monthly shipment volumes, seasonal patterns, and a bunch of different other things to deep dive into. And here we clearly see that it's outbound from Munich. But then, what is my current CO2 footprint? That's a good question to ask because we want to have a baseline, right, when we start decarbonizing and start going electric. So then I can easily see a CO2 overview. And this is a GLEC certified CO2 calculation with this data set. So it shows the CO2 emissions. I can also adjust if I already have some HVO or gas in the mix. I can adjust and it will update immediately the CO2 footprint here. But another interesting thing is that I can immediately get the first electrification analysis. So here we can see that these lanes that are blue or blue-gray are the most eligible for electrification. So basically the flows with around this distance, and this is dependent on the frequency, the volume, the availability of charging, and so on. So this is basically telling me that here is where to start when start electrifying. And I can also see the lanes with the highest electrification potential. And it was this one. And then I can just press it in the map and I can choose to BEV route it directly. And then we get to this route plan. So now we went to that stage from the shipment data set, but this is the view that we were looking at before. So now we checked one specific data set, but maybe I have my current flows and I'm in a tender where I want to investigate how can I combine those and find good round trips that could be electrified. So let's highlight a few other data sets, maybe this one, and we could have this one, and we can hide this one. So then Pathfinder also allows you to investigate if there are any available round trips within these data sets. So then we press round trip, and then it will find these matching lanes. So we have this good back and forth flow, which is suitable to electrify. And we get quite a lot of hits, and then we can adjust ourselves what we are interested in. For example, now I want to find, okay, what are my high volume corridors? So I want to have at least some minimum pay weight. Okay, we have a lot of shipments in all of them. And maybe I don't want to allow so much empty driving. Okay, so then we have a bunch of different options that we can investigate in the map. And then I can press one pair and I can see directly that, okay, we have Örebro Düsseldorf in one way. And then we have the, yes, I will not try to pronounce this, but we have this in the other direction. So then we basically have this round trip that we could also try electrifying directly. And then from that, we electrify it and get this route. So this shows that there are multiple ways in Pathfinder to get to the electric route, either by looking at a specific origin destination, or looking at a specific shipment data set, or looking at the combination of different data sets. So there are many ways to analyze your data in this way. Let me try again. So there's always a demo devil when you go live, but this should, yes, perfect. Now we have it. Yes, so then it has created this electric round trip for me now, and I can follow it on the map like this. Just as before, I had this complete route plan. Now we took a very, very long one here, but it looks like it works on a feasibility level. And then we see that, okay, in this case, it's 3 hours extra due to charging. Okay, I think I will stop there so that we have some time for questions. Yes. Now we have a question in the chat. Do you also show real-time status to filter available chargers only? Maybe that's a question for Jonathan.
We currently don't have real-time status because the main use of Pathfinder today is strategic planning, so not like real-time planning. But we plan to introduce real-time status of chargers in later this year.
Perfect. Let's see, we have someone typing. Is matching driver brakes and charging automatic or able to manipulate? That's a very good question. It is, so Pathfinder will always give the most optimal suggestion for the charging, but you can always manipulate it. You can force it to take chargers that are not optimal. You can extend the brakes. You can really manipulate it as much as you like. Maybe I could show that as well. Let me just share my screen. I don't know, is there something you want to add to that question, Jonathan, while I share my screen again?
No, not really. I mean, usually the workflow in Pathfinder is that you start with some sort of shipment demand. It could be like a single route kind of thing, where you have the start and end position, or a large Excel with thousands of shipments. And that is usually some reflection of maybe the last year, the deliveries from last year in a given supply chain, for example. But once you upload it to Pathfinder, you can manipulate it however you want. You can redesign the network. You can or consolidate lanes via crosstalks or both terminals and stuff like that. So sort of, change it however you want.
So now, for example, Pathfinder had one, like the optimal suggestion, and now I decided to throw out that charger and add another one in, and let's say I want to stop there 1 hour, 40 minutes, I can change that. So it's really possible to manipulate the routes, and then you can always reset the route, and then it will go back to the most optimal again. And you can also very easily add waypoints. So now I'm adding, you can either press the map and add the waypoints like this, and then I will replan the charging to make it optimal charging. But if you don't want that charging to be optimal, you can also leave it or manually adjust it. But I want preferably the optimal way. So this is another way to add a waypoint directly. So now it's added here, but I can also just press the plus button there. And now we have a new question. You said GLEC certified. Does this mean you use the average values from GLEC to calculate, or can I add my own primary data for CO2 calculations? So on the first question, yes, we use the emission factors recommended by GLEC. However, if you want to use your own primary data for the CO2 calculations, you can always use the energy consumption from Pathfinder and then add your own emissions factors on top of that. But in the tool, it is the GLEC certified values that we use. And then another question, do you include topography? Yes, we do. So if you will look at the route that we created now, there were some hills, so then it does regenerate as well. So, and going uphill increases the energy consumption, of course. I don't know, Jonathan, if you want to add to how the model works, if you want to.
Yeah, so we have like a base consumption model for each vehicle type that we based on real operational data. And then on top of that, we add the actual characteristics of the route and also the climate that you simulate in. So for example, if you run or create a route through the Alps and you have -20 degrees, we simulate the actual routes, the hilliness of the routes, and also the road surface of the route, and also add all the auxiliary loads that comes from driving in -20 degrees. So you get that included in the energy consumption. But the base model is based on operational data. So we do this mix between these two to get as realistic result as possible.
Right, I think there's another question coming up. I see some typing going on. Very cool tool. Well, thank you. How strict is your data upload mask?
Not strict at all. So we use AI to upload the data. So you can have any format. You can have an Excel sheet with 1 sheet or 25 sheets, can be in Portuguese or English or Swedish. You can have messy data or clean data. You can use text, like if you have a document. You can use email, whatever. So we have an AI that handles everything for you. And so you don't need to adapt to any specific template. But you need to have some basic information at least. So you need to have some information about a start location and also a description of the shipment. And usually date and time helps as well. You don't really need to have the date, but many features in the platform assumes that you have date. So like describing a start position could be with a zip code, a city, or a country, or a mix between these. Same goes for the end location, and the shipment can be described with weight, volume, or loading meter.
And the question, what is our pricing model? So the routing that I showed, when you have a start and end location and route, or you have multiple of those routes, of course, that is the 89 euro per month per user tier. So that's our basic tier. And then for analyzing these large shipment data sets, we have the 479 euro per month per user. So that's the pro tier. And as mentioned, we have the 2 weeks trial, so you can try it out before committing as well. And I see some typing still going on. It's great. We're just happy for all the questions. So just shoot them at us. Pro tier is then only for the round trip analysis or already for data sets?
Already for data sets. So basic means just routing. So you create the routes one by one. You still have access to the AI chat, and the AI can help you create like efficient routes and also create like many routes at the same time, analyze routes and so on, like analyze the best chargers and so on. But that is what you can do in the basic tier. Then with the pro tier, you can also work with the data sets. So like upload Excels with large amount of shipments and do all the data and CO2 analysis of them and round trip identification features and stuff like that. That is in the pro tier.
And worth mentioning as well, already in the basic, you can still create round trips just by adding waypoints. So also in the basic, you can create the round trips, but not in the large scale of the pro tier.
Yeah, and also milk runs. So if you have like 10 deliveries within one route, you can create routes like that also in the basic tier.
Exactly. And now we have another question. Some platforms are integrating depot chargers from fleet owners that want to make them available throughout the day for other fleets. Do you plan to include this in Pathfinder in the future? Assuming you can facilitate transactions via roaming or direct connection to their CPMS.
Yeah, we're actually working on it right now. So 2 ways. One is that we are collaborating with partners that help onboard on board like semi-public chargers. And the other way is that we have the possibility to add, if you're a user of Pathfinder and have a charger, you can add it to the map and share it publicly with all the Pathfinder users. So that is that are the two ways that we're working with exposing private chargers or semi-public chargers to all the Pathfinder users.
And I sent now also about the question about pricing. There's also a link to our website now where everything is explained. And of course, we're happy to have separate, more personal demos if you're interested. We're also very happy to do that. So just reach out to us in that case. Otherwise, I think that's it for the questions. Thanks so much. Great questions and a lot of engagement, so we're happy about that. Otherwise, we will keep having these webinars. So look out for those. Look out in your inbox for the start of your free trials. And then hopefully see you on Pathfinder soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Actually, we got the very last question. Maybe we should pick it in. Yes, the data will definitely stay within your company, and you can specifically say to share with others, but of course it will stay in your own user if you upload it to the platform.
Yeah.
Yes, all right. Now we will end the event. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.